Hey everyone, thank you for joining me today for Budgeting to Win in Google Ads. My name is Ryan Dahlen, and I'm the Director of Operations at JurisPage, a digital marketing agency for lawyers and law firms in the United States and Canada. Today, the big question we're going to answer is, how do I know what to spend on Google Ads in order to sign the number of cases my firm needs to be successful? First, we'll define the metrics that we need to know in order to make our calculations. Then, we'll show you where to find them. Finally, we'll assemble those metrics into a formula that you can use to figure out what you need to budget to win at the Google Ads game. Here are the 5 basic metrics we'll look at today. Whether you're just getting started or looking to optimize your existing campaigns, these 5 essential metrics will give you the insight you need to make smart decisions with your ad spend. So let's break down each one and see how they impact your budget planning. First up is impressions. An impression occurs whenever your ad is shown in search results. While impressions don't guarantee engagement, they're an important indicator of your ad's visibility. If you're getting a lot of impressions but not very many clicks, you might need to revise your ad copy or your targeting. Conversely, if you're not getting very many impressions, there could be an issue with your targeting an area that's too narrow, or potentially having some other issues that are causing impressions, your ads, not to show. Next, we have clicks. This happens when someone actually clicks on your ad, which takes them to your landing page, takes them to your website, or in the case of a local service ad, LSAs, it'll take them directly to your phone. Clicks are where you start incurring actual costs in a pay-per-click model. So tracking your PPC and your cost per click is essential for budget management. Moving one step further down the funnel, we have conversions. Conversion happens when someone takes desired action after clicking your ad. Typically, that means contacting you through a form, a call, a chat, and this is where revenue potentially starts to enter the picture. So making your conversion rate one of the most important metrics for ROI calculation is a must. However, not all contacts are created equal. Not all conversions are created equal, which brings us even further down the funnel to leads. A lead is specifically a contact who's looking for the service you provide in the area in which you provide it. So if you are a personal injury lawyer in Dubuque, Iowa, and you are getting calls for DUI from Des Moines, those might be conversions, but they're not leads. Tracking the percentage of conversions that qualify as leads helps you refine your targeting and maximize your budget efficiency. Finally, down at the bottom, we have close rate, the percentage of leads you actually sign as clients. While this happens outside the Google Ads platform and most lead management platforms for that matter, it's crucial for calculating your true return on the ad spend. A high close rate can justify higher PPC costs, while a lower rate might signal the need for better lead qualification or just generally sales processes. In our experience at JurisPage, when we have a very low close rate, we often find that there are flaws in the lead qualification process, such as not really answering the phone, not providing a timely call back, or providing information that is out of date or incorrect, that is a detriment to creating an atmosphere of trust with the prospect. So now that we've covered the basic performance metrics in Google Ads, let's go dive into the cost metrics that directly impact your budget planning. Understanding these numbers is crucial for calculating your return on investment and making informed decisions about your ad spend. Let's break down each of these cost metrics and talk about how they're going to impact your budget decisions. So first up here, we have CPM, way up at the top, cost per mille, and that is the cost per 1,000 impressions. For search campaigns, this metric is not relevant. We're focusing on, direct response rather than brand awareness. CPM is about display advertising or video campaigns, social media, that sort of thing. That's the CPM pricing model. And it's focused on brand awareness as opposed to lead generation, which is the purpose of PPC. So moving down, next up is CPC, or cost per click. And this is the building block metric for search campaigns, since you're paying each time someone clicks on your ad. We're going to come up with a lot of different values that are going to help as an input into budget, but the click is actually what you are going to pay Google for. It can vary widely depending on your practice area, your location, and your keyword competitiveness. Cost per conversion. So this is determined likewise, just like cost per click in Google Ads. I will say that there's a caveat here. If you have something like call tracking and you're using CallRail or a third-party form tool like Unbounce, sometimes the number of CallRail calls plus Unbounce does not equal the number of conversions that Google picks up on. So while you can get a cost per conversion in Google Ads, just like you can get the cost per click there, ultimately it may not be 100% accurate, and you should work that number out on your own based on the total number of conversions that you've been able to detect. Finally, we have cost per lead and cost per signed case. Cost per lead is roughly the same calculation as cost per conversion, only we are tweaking it to include only qualified leads as opposed to conversions, which could be calls that are irrelevant to either what it is you practice or where you practice it. And finally, cost per signed case, which is the holy grail metric that we're trying to get to here. We further whittle down the leads, and it is a percentage of the total leads. How many leads do you actually close? How many qualified leads are you actually able to close on a percentage basis? All of that we're going to kind of stir into a pot and be able to show you a really quick and dirty, easy way, I should say, to get to your cost per signed case, which will help you create that budget. Before we do, however, I want to just pop over here to Google Ads and talk a little bit about how you can find the cost per click for your practice area and your location. We are a company that has employees all over the United States and Canada, so we're going to pick a midpoint here. We're going to say Kansas City. We're going to look at DUI attorney in Kansas City or DUI lawyer in Kansas City and find our expected cost per click. So the first thing I'm going to do in Google Ads is I'm going to go to Tools and Keyword Planner. We have three options here: discover new keywords, get search volume and forecast, organize keywords into ad groups. We are going to discover new keywords. So in this search box, we're going to type our primary keyword phrase, which is DUI lawyer. Okay, there it is. Now, below the search box, you're going to see two small clickable items here. One is the language default, English, which we're going to stick with. The other is the geographical targeting that we're looking at. So we need to adjust that geographical targeting so that we're focused on the area where we want to generate leads from. Remember, a qualified lead is one that is looking for the services you offer in the area that you offer them. So the same principle applies to these costs. In order to get to the right number to build our budget, we need both sides of that equation, both the practice area and the location.
The what?
So here we have the United States selected. We're going to eliminate that. And our location is Kansas City. Now, you can see in the drop-down menu here, there are actually three options for Kansas City. Kansas City, Missouri, Nielsen DMA, Kansas City, Missouri, United States City, and Kansas City, Kansas, United States City, along with the expected reach. Reach is an estimate of how many people are in or are interested in the location you select, based on the number of signed-in users visiting Google sites. So with some creepy kind of Chrome, Google monopolist browser activity tracking, they know that the reach for this particular geographical selection is 4.6 million. Now, you also see Jackson County, Independence, Olathe, and Overland Park, which are suburbs. Johnson County, Kansas, which is where Kansas City, Kansas is located. Ultimately, you can get a little bit granular and you could include city by city if you wanted to exclude a city or geographic location. But really, we would just want a basic overview of how much this is going to cost. And so the Nielsen DMA, Nielsen is like the old school TV ratings provider, and they have media market regions that are still used for advertisers. So we're going to use that, and you get a kind of a preview here. We're going to hit save, and then we're going to click get results. Great. Now we're seeing data for our keyword right here, along with related terms that potential clients might be searching for. You'll notice several columns of data here, but I want to draw your attention to this column right here, top of page bid, high range. This is the column that our agency always uses when estimating budgets and costs, and there are two important reasons for this. First, we believe in hoping for the best and planning for the worst. Using the high range estimate ensures that we're not under budgeting for competitive keywords. Second, and perhaps most important, we want your ads to show at the top of the page, not in second position, not in third position, and definitely not at the bottom of the page or on page 2 where no one goes. So looking at our main keyword, we can see that the top of page bid range is 5646. This means we should be prepared to potentially pay this amount per click to maintain a top position for this highly competitive term. You can also see here some related terms, DUI lawyer near me, DUI attorney, affordable DUI lawyer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What you can do if you are uncomfortable with just using the high bid here is you can export this list and then line by line in Excel, copy and paste these bid ranges and get yourself like an overall average, right? To get if you feel that that's necessarily a more precise view. My suggestion would just be to use this 5646 number. As you scroll down here, you're going to see that it's by far the highest, and it's exactly the term that you want. Having that understanding of what it takes to get in the game is what we're all about here. And once we figure out exactly how much it's going to cost to get the number of cases that you need in order to make your firm successful, we can decide whether or not we need to reevaluate whether Google Ads is the place that we want to spend our marketing budget. Finally, last thing before we go back to the other board is that these CPC estimates are just estimates. Actual costs can vary based on, again, competition, quality score, and other factors. If you have actual data on how much it costs to generate a click in your practice area based on your past experience, that first part of the data can be invaluable. But by using the top of page high bid range as our guide, we can set realistic expectations and we can position those campaigns for success right from the start. Now that we've established our cost per click through the keyword planner, let's walk through how this translates into the metrics that really matter for your practice: cost per conversion, cost per lead, and ultimately cost per signed case. As we saw in the keyword planner, the top of the page bid high range for DUI lawyer Kansas City is 5646. That's going to be our starting point. First things first, Let's calculate our conversion rate based on our agency, based on JurisPage's experience with properly optimized DUI campaigns in moderately, well, we'll say the mean of competitive areas. We typically see a conversion rate between 10 and 20%. So that means for every 5 to 10 clicks, you can expect one potential client to call or fill out your contact form. So let's run the numbers. At a 10% conversion rate, 5646 divided by 10% equals a $564.60 conversion cost. At 20%, you're looking at $282.30 per conversion. So, as we know, not every conversion is a qualified lead. Our data shows that between 20 to 40% of your conversions will actually be qualified, meaning they're actually looking for DUI representation in Kansas City. So let's calculate your cost per qualified lead. Using our previous calculations, we've got a 10 to 20% conversion rate. So we need to, again, just divide our costs by the qualification rate to get our cost per qualified lead. So cost per qualified lead on the low end is $282.30, which is the low cost per conversion divided by 40%. 40% being the better side of a qualification rate, and cost per lead high is going to be $564.60 divided by that lower qualification rate of 20%. So now you can see quite a wide range, and this is why campaign optimization is so critical. A well-optimized campaign can dramatically reduce your cost per qualified lead. So last up, it's the reason for the season. Let's get to what you really want to know, your cost per signed case. This depends on your close rate, which can vary based on things like experience, what your pricing is, and whether you offer free consultations, and there could be other factors as well. I think I mooted a close rate before in the previous section, but let's just say that in our experience, for a moderately experienced attorney with a fairly decent reputation and a moderately priced fee, you're looking at a range of about 60 to 80% close rate. So again, we're going to go ahead and calculate the range of possible outcomes. At the lower end of performance, 10% conversion, the 20% qualification, and the 60% close rate, you're looking at $4,700 per signed case. At the higher end of performance, you're going to see, and this is talking like the 20% conversion, the 40% qualification, and then the 80% close rate, you've got around $882.19 per signed case. So just a huge, huge gap there. So what does that mean? Well, for DUI cases in Kansas City, unless you have significant data that helps kind of pare this down, you're going to need to budget between $882 and $4,700 per signed case, depending on your campaign performance and your intake efficiency. So the last thing that we need to do, the missing piece here, right, is your actual case value. So if a typical case is, for example, $5,000, we'll say $4,500. The revenue that you're looking at $4,705, you're actually at about 6%. You've got a 6% ROI. 882, on the other hand, you've got an ROI of 467%. So you can see that one of the probably the most important things to spend on, regardless of how we slice this, is somebody who knows how to professionally set up, maintain, and manage a Google Ads campaign in your chosen practice area.
See.
Okay. Last but not least, let's get into the budgeting. So we are going to, we've talked all along about how what we really want is to be able to get to a number that is going to help you meet your business objectives. So our Kansas City DUI firm here has a target of $500,000 in annual profit. These are big ballers, right? So in order to get to $500,000 in annual profit, they need to net $42,000 a month. We're not going to overcomplicate this with other costs and things, but we'll just say that the profit goal is $500,000, $42,000 a month net. So we know that the firm makes $4,500 revenue per DUI case. And again, based on our earlier calculations, we know that $2,800 is basically the average cost per signed case through Google Ads. We're going to pick $2,800 because it is the midpoint between those other vast sums, right? Or the vast range between the sums. We really don't know that that's going to be correct, but for this exercise, taking the midpoint makes sense to me. All right, so first, let's calculate the profit per case, the net. $4,500 in revenue minus the $2,800 acquisition cost is going to be $1,700 in profit per case. $1,700 net. So on the other side, we have the $42,000 a month that we need, and we need to divide that by $1,700, which is our profit per case. And that comes to roughly 24.7 cases. We're going to obviously round that to 25 since you can't really sign 0.7 cases. So now let's calculate the monthly ad spend needed. 25 cases times $2,800 per case equals $70,000 a month in ad spend. Yes, we're there, right? That's it. Now we know we've got our number and we're ready to go. But wait, we have not yet figured in the cost of managing this campaign. And I promise you, whether you hire someone full-time or you outsource to an agency, you are not going to hit that $2,800 number per case without professional management. So let's look at scenario one. Scenario one is you hire a PPC agency for $1,495 a month, which at a $70,000 spend is quite a bargain. Our calculus is going to change a little bit, right? We need to adjust our monthly profit needed. So it's $42,000 plus the $1,490. We add the $1,495, the cost per month, because that's what's required. So now we're at $43,495 a month. Using our formula, we need to divide that $43,495 by the $1,700 profit per case, and we get 25.6, round to 26 cases needed. And therefore, our total spend increases to $72,800 per month. Now, scenario two is hiring a full-time PPC specialist, an FTE. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that all in it's going to cost you around $6,500 a month to get somebody in there who can do a professional job and can meet the needs of the firm. At the same time, you got to pay them what they're worth in the marketplace. $6,500 a month is what I landed on here. So we need to again adjust that monthly profit. $42,000 plus the $6,500 gets us to $48,500. Again, we divide that by $1,700. That's our profit per case, and it gets us to 28.5 cases needed. We round up to 29 because we definitely can't do half a DUI. And so with a full-time specialist, the firm needs to sign approximately 29 cases per month. And that total monthly ad spend comes to 29 times 2,800 or $81,200. We're getting up there, right? This analysis shows you basically how you need to work backward from your business goals. You need to work backward to determine exactly how many cases you need and what ad budget is required to achieve your target profit. Now, notice that the in-house specialist scenario requires a higher case volume and budget, about $8,400 more in monthly ad spend compared to the agency option. However, an in-house specialist might deliver better campaign optimization over time because they're in it. They're not. Their attention isn't scattered. They're focused on you as a client 24/7, And that could potentially lower the cost per case and increase your ROI over time. So remember, I guess at the end here, that these numbers are based on averages and estimates, and your actual results are definitely going to vary. They can vary based on seasonal fluctuations. Divorce is one where we definitely see a lull in the holidays and then a big increase in the new year, for example. DUI, in the States around summer holidays and, well, holidays in general. Competitive landscape changes. To be honest, Google Ads is changing a lot. Google is changing a lot. AI has shifted the playing field, and so you need to keep an eye on what things actually look like on the ground. Campaign optimization improvements over time could end up reducing your cost per case, while reducing your cost per click, cost per lead, and ultimately cost per case. Changes in close rates as you improve your intake process. We have had some success working one-on-one with our clients to help them improve intake, improve their call answering skills, help get their leads routed to the right place in their CRM, which improves response time, which is the number one thing that prospective clients want. The key takeaway here is that you always want to start with your profit goal. You want to start with your business objective first. Then you want to determine the number of cases you need. Then you can calculate your required ad spend based on your cost of acquisition. This approach ensures your Google ad strategy is aligned with your business objectives rather than just arbitrarily setting a budget based on what you feel like you can afford. This gives you actual, concrete data in order to make those important decisions.